How about now? It's probably have some coming in, so hopefully that, yeah, hopefully this will do us in nicely. Looks like I've got some extra. All right, folks, let's start this one over. That'll be fun. I think I have things coming through now. Hopefully those comments rolling through are now telling me that everything is good. Cool. So, all right. Thanks for letting me know about my technical difficulties. Hopefully you had the guitar sound to start. You probably actually got it twice now, so I'm just going to go ahead and fix a couple of things here. Delete that line and delete this line. So cool, you probably got all the guitar intro, which was good, but for the voice mic. So a friend of mine lent me this 5150 Iconic. That's what's sitting behind me. That is the only thing you're going to hear from the amp tones on the amp today. Yes, I am using the Axe FX only for effects. So a compressor up front, a couple of drive pedals when we get to that section, and delay and reverb. So everything else, you are hearing the XLR out from the back of this amp. I am not using a live mic or a live cabinet. The amp sounds simply better off the cabinet in the room. I'm not the biggest fan of the cab output on this. I just think it doesn't quite have the same feel as something like a Captor X or a Two Notes. A Captor X, which is from Two Notes, or something like a Server Reactive Load, and then being able to choose your own cabinet. But again, I wanted to test this amp all in for exactly what it is. A buddy of mine said he picked it up, got a good deal on it new for just over like $700. They retail for $1,000, and you can always get a good deal on it. But I wanted you to be able to hear it just exactly as it is without me adding more to it other than the effects. So yes, it's an expensive Axe FX unit. You could get very similar things through a couple of pedals here and there. So let's just not blow that out of proportion that, oh, the Axe FX is making the sound so much better. It's not. So this is the blue channel with a little bit of slapback delay and a plate reverb on it. It's on the neck pickup. Let's go split coil. So the amp has plenty of spank in the clean channel, which I'm assuming if someone has a budget and this is the amp that they're trying to pick up. Again, this amp sits in a budget price point. I would not expect someone to grab this and use this very often if they've got a room full of amps. But I'm picturing somebody with a fairly tight budget saving up and going out and buying this amp, and I want to make sure that hey, you get the understanding of what this amp really does. And I think the clean channel really does shine. It has a couple of different modes on it. On the front, it's got an overdrive on this green channel, and obviously you have a whole other gain channel. I have not messed around with the quote-unquote burn circuit on this. It just hasn't been something that I've been overly interested in. And I'm sure there's 1,000 videos already out there on amp demos of this thing. But I wanted to kind of go through. I'm not really going to mess with the EQs on this today. I wanted you to just get the sense of what this thing does in a very simplistic format. Again, like I said, the clean channel is a great pedal platform. So I'm going to run through a couple of pedal settings here. So again, this is clean with the compressor. clean with a big ambient reverb. Now let's just kind of go for a little, light reverb and a gritty distortion. This is that same amp with like a kind of a, it's not a fuzz, but kind of a heavier distortion. I mean, straight up, the Clean Channel is a really good pedal platform style amp. It doesn't have an insane amount of character on its own, which I think is fine. Like, it's a good Clean Channel. You can adjust that drive, and then there is, like I said, like an overdrive that has a ton of gain. Like, the overdrive is not light. There's a big volume spike in the overdrive, and I'll just give you an example of that real quick. But you wouldn't bounce from the clean to the overdrive. I don't even know if that's on the button of the foot switches itself, but there's such a huge volume spike in a lot of this. And one, like, this amp is crazy loud. So the fact that this does have a silent output, there's a mute switch on the back for the XLR out, like, that's a great value for someone who only has one amp or whatnot. It's going to spend $1,000 or, whatever you get these things on sale for. Like, that's a huge value. If you were to play it like that 100% of the time, I would tell you to go buy STL Tone Hub and get a 5150 plug-in or the Lassie Lambert plug-in or whatever. If you wanted a 5150 sound and you were going to play it, through monitors all the time, then I would just tell you to plug it. But this is a great option for, playing at home, quiet. And it's, again, this is all included for the price. So I'm going to drop down some of this gain. This is just a fun, usable tone. Volume rolls off nicely on it. Nice and clean, very clear, very spanky. I'm not going to spend too long in the stream. We're already about 10 minutes or so in, and I'm going to bounce over to the dirty channel. I am in drop D, and we're going to see kind of what this does. Now this is where I really hear the kind of grainy texture of the distortion character of this amp. And I think it's even exacerbated by this cab sim output. So like this is definitely not my favorite tone in the world, but it's pretty good. And I will tell you, it sounds better off the cab. Like that's not necessarily an EQ tweaking thing, but I just feel like the character on the gain of this can get a little gritty. Now, that's the neck pickup. So I'm a dum-dum, and we didn't start on the bridge. Lot more clarity there on the bridge pickup, and again, just it's got a really, you know, I don't like, it's not necessarily focused, like it's not very, like it's got a pretty, it's not, and again, it's also not super wide, like it sort of does that rock thing that you want it to do. Now again, if you came here and expected someone to shred all over the place at 1,000 notes per minute or play some drop B, smash your face in death metal, like that's not kind of music I play. There are probably other videos that are better suited to check that out. All in all, for $1,000, I think you're just getting a ton of bang for your buck. I do expect to probably have this amp around for a little bit longer, but I wanted to just come on and shoot a really quick video, give some kind of my initial thoughts with it after day one. I think it's absolutely worth the price point, but I wouldn't necessarily, if you have a bunch of other amps you love, I wouldn't put this on a list of something to go grab. I do think you will go back to other amps that you might own, but this is a really, really great starting point for someone who's looking to get into a tube amp, somebody who needs to play out live, who actually needs a bunch of volume. This amp is ridiculously loud. There's just a lot going on with this amp itself. I mean, all those amps, all those tones in one amp. mean, again, from a value perspective, I think this amp is really hard to beat. I would put this in the same category as the new PRS Archon at about the same price point. You know, both about $1,000 new. Rack rate, again, always work with your favorite dealer to get your best discounts. Like I said, I think this amp is pretty great for the money. Will I say? Do I think this is like a phenomenal amp on its own? There are better amps out there, but those amps are either significantly more expensive or, as a whole, it generally is more expensive. Would I rather have this amp than something like a 5153, which you can buy used for a few more $100s? I probably would take a 5153 50 watt over this amp, just because I feel like that amp has a little more character. Now, again, you are not getting things like an XLR simulated output with a mute switch. Like, that's a huge factor for someone who, again, is only going to have one amp, having an ability to, you know, bring it down to practice level volumes. Yes, this amp is incredibly loud, but you can bring the masters down to some pretty low volumes and get away with it. So thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, smash that like button. And if you want to see more video content about the 5150 Iconic, leave me a comment down below or shoot me a note. Like I said, I probably will have this for a little bit longer, but it's got a lot of stuff to play, and I don't know how long I'll leave this hooked up to do its thing. So I'm about to go get my workout on for the evening. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I will see you very, very soon.